Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video where I talk about levels and see whether or not I like them. And today's video topic is about non-sequel levels. Basically, what I mean by this is that when a level seems pretty fitting to be a sequel to another level, but is considered by the creator of the level to not be a sequel to the original level. Now, how a level quote-unquote becomes a non-sequel is due to a lot of factors, but there is one major factor, which is because the level is highly inspired by the original level, but the creator decided for it to not be a sequel, rather it's just heavily inspired by it, and due to how similar the two levels are, some people may mistake it for being a sequel to the original level. There's also the factor that it was once a sequel, but then later the creator changed their minds, but I only have like one example, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and we'll also see if the level is better or worse than the original. Once again, these are my opinions, and if you don't agree with them, then more power to you. And also, this probably won't happen, but don't go out your way to ask the creator to make the level be a sequel to the original level. Again, it probably won't happen, but I'm just making sure you guys don't bother them. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's start the video starting with... Let's start with one of the most obvious examples of this, Acheron. Acheron is a 1.9 style top 1 extreme demon made by Riot and more. It has a pretty cool grayscale look to it with a minor red accent. I wouldn't say it's a hell-themed level, but it definitely has some elements to it that can make someone say it's hell-themed. It also has a really claustrophobic atmosphere with the way it's built, and also a lot of clubstep monsters. Not much more to say about the level in itself really. It's a pretty cool 1.9 style grayscale top 1 extreme demon. However, you know what other level has a striking resemblance to Acheron in basically every way possible? Tartarus. Yes, believe it or not, despite being hosted by the same person, Acheron is not considered a sequel by Riot himself. Side note, I would also probably count Tartarus as well, but with the case of Tartarus, there's at least a lot more things that differentiate itself with the other two levels that I can definitely see when someone says it's not a sequel to Acheron. But talking about Acheron, it is just highly similar to Tartarus to not be considered a sequel. Like, come on, not only is both a 1.9 style top 1 extreme demon, but the block design has some pretty similar elements to it. The decoration is pretty much the same. The structuring for both of them is almost identical. They both have a lot of clubstep monsters. The song is made by the same artist, even down to the gameplay is nearly identical. Like, come on, you're gonna open and end the level with that and not consider Acheron a sequel? There are definitely some differences in those levels, like obviously the color scheme is different and Acheron is a lot more claustrophobic compared to Tartarus, but other than that, they're both really similar. Even the name Acheron is correlated to Tartarus in a way. Now, I've actually heard that Riot once considered Acheron to be a sequel to Tartarus, but I guess in the middle of making Acheron, he decided to make Acheron a standalone level rather than a sequel. And I kind of get that decision. Maybe Riot just likes the idea of Acheron being a standalone level more than it being a sequel to Tartarus, or maybe even the fact that the idea of a sequel level just kinda hits him the wrong way. However, I feel like when you're this late into making the level and the level is just like really similar to Tartarus to a point where if you just change the color of Acheron, people would easily mistake it for Tartarus, I probably would have just owned it up and consider Acheron an official sequel at this point. But with that being said, do I think Acheron is better than Tartarus? The answer is yes, and honestly it's a no-brainer. Don't get me wrong, I still like Tartarus' decoration. I think it's still pretty cool even with the limitations. But compared to Acheron, it looks like it aged worse even though parts of it is not actually made in 1.9. Acheron just has a lot more charm to it, and I just personally think the grayscale color scheme with a little red tint over it looks cooler than Tartarus. But yeah, Acheron is for some reason not a sequel to Tartarus. Lumina is a pretty interesting level. It starts off pretty low-key with only a few decoration elements and some moving objects. There are definitely effects, but it's not really distracting you from the core design of the level. Mixing it with the fact that it has a mostly grayscale color scheme with some yellow to contrast it, which is a pretty nice touch, and the yellow coloring really makes it pop with the surrounding grayscale color scheme. So as the level progresses, more elements start coming into place with the level getting more detailed and lively as you go on with the level. That is until you get to the job where everything just suddenly took a shift. The black background is now almost completely white, the level becomes much more faster, and the overall feeling just feels a lot more chaotic than the first half of the level. It is such a powerful job and one that hits you like a truck. I can't underestimate how powerful that sudden change in the job feels when you first look at the level, because the build up to it is executed so well. I wish I can just experience it for the first time again. You know, this level seems a little familiar to a certain level that's known to the GD community. I can't put a finger on what the level is. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't seem to remember the name of it. So Congregation. Yeah, you probably saw that coming, but yeah, Lumina could have been a perfect sequel to Congregation. It's very obvious that Lumina took some heavy inspiration from Congregation with the way it was decorated, the style of the gameplay, and the whole progression of the level. In fact, I'd argue that the fact that Lumina is a lot more decorated works as a sequel to Congregation, because Congregation's decoration is a lot more bare bones compared to Lumina's decoration, which is a lot more lively and detailed, so it kind of works as a progression from Congregation, where you go further the more detailed the level is. There are definitely some differences, like the song just feels more like what a normal TD level would use compared to Congregation's song, which feels a lot more grand and experimental, and Lumina is a lot more effect heavy, unlike Congregation, which strongly depends on its atmosphere. But it still doesn't stray away from the fact that Lumina feels like a successor to Congregation. But alas, it's actually considered as a standalone level, which, fair enough, is the creator's decision and we should respect it as it is. With that being said, is Lumina better than Congregation? My answer is sort of, but it's a bit complicated to answer that question. I do think that overall, Congregation's execution of the theming is a lot more effective than Lumina's, due to how chilling and atmospheric Congregation feels as a whole, and the emptiness of the level kinda helps with the atmosphere, especially with the song that's used. But at the same time, Lumina's decoration fits the style more, even if Congregation's emptiness fits the atmosphere. I do think that the block design and the decoration is a bit too empty, especially at the job where looking at it the second time almost feels kind of anticlimactic. So overall, I think both are of equal quality and kind of perfect for each other as a sequel. Alright, where do I even start with Fever Dream? You might look at Fever Dream and think, oh, this level is a mess, it's just your typical Ice Cave level with some pretty garbage gameplay, impossible wave gameplay, too many straight slides, typical Ice Cave decoration style, a weird song, and a really edgy atmosphere that feels like a teenager made it. This is just a really lame level. And like, yeah, but in my opinion, that's kinda what makes the level really cool for me. It's what Ice Cave usually does with his usual stuff, but he bumped it up to the max, and it's just really cool how he does it. It's kinda like Ice Cave's way of telling us, yeah, I'm fully aware of how outrageous my style is. Wanna see something funny though? And as a result, it created this level that legitimately has a really cool vibe to it. And it goes so far as to say this is one of Ice Cave's best levels, because it just oozes out what makes his style have this sort of charm to it. I wouldn't even call this a guilty pleasure either. I think the way he integrated the gameplay is pretty cool as well. It really does remind you of the old times on how a lot of players built impossible gameplay back then, with it just being tight wave gaps and straight flights with a little bit of other gameplay mixed into it. Oh, and the end screen is pretty cool too. It's simple but so effective. It's even helped with the fact that it uses 2.0 fire objects, which is straight into that nostalgic feeling that it has. Which is funny that I said that, because this could probably be passed off as a Devil Vortex sequel. 2 meme levels in a row, man, we haven't seen that before, huh? Devil Vortex, the funny level with the sauce made by Rasta, legitimately verified by Leafy, is here. Fever Dream and Devil Vortex has a lot of similarities to them. The fact that they have a mostly black color scheme with a hint of another color slapped onto it, some of the weirdest gameplays I've ever seen slapped onto a level, the damn wave spam, the song is made by the same person, the block design too is honestly not too far apart, and they have a black and white section in it. The fact that they're red and blue too just makes it perfect for each other. Funnily enough, Icecave has said that this level was inspired by Devil Vortex, or that he notices that people think this is inspired by Devil Vortex, and that he's actually quite happy with it. It also drives my points further with once again the fact that Fever Dream uses the 2.0 fire object, which you don't really see every day in this type of level. It's usually used for like a theme level or maybe an effect level. The only difference I see with the two levels is that Fever Dream doesn't have the funny creatures Devil Vortex has, except I lied because Fever Dream has the Grim Reaper and those eyes that flashed for 1 second. But with that being said, is Fever Dream better than Devil Vortex? Yes, it's a no-brainer honestly. As much as I want to dunk on Touch Deluxe, I don't necessarily dislike Devil Vortex. In fact, it's one of my guilty pleasures honestly. But even I have to admit that this level looks so dated. Rostam has always been one of those creators whose style has always been a mixed bag for me. Devil Vortex is one of those times where the style kinda aches me the wrong way, but I still like it because of how funny it is. Fever Dream is just so much cooler than Devil Vortex, and the way it's structured is way more effective than what Devil Vortex has to offer. This is probably one of the most popular examples of a level being a non-sequel to another level, but let's talk about Sunset Sandstorm first. Sunset Sandstorm is one of the most unique levels I've ever seen. From the gameplay to the decoration to the atmosphere, it's just really enticing. Krone have always had a knack for unique gameplay, and Sunset Sandstorm is no exception. You may call the beginning repetitive, but the way Krone does it mixed with the decoration is just really cool. The decoration encapsulates the name of the level really well as well, especially with the song that's used, making it feel like a western cowboy movie. It really is a Sunset Sandstorm. Honestly, I don't know what more there is to say. Sunset Sandstorm is just a really cool and unique level overall. However, with that being said, its uniqueness doesn't just spawn out of nowhere because it shares some similarities with one of the most iconic Geometry Dash levels ever, Black Blizzard. The similarities are all there. The fact that both are themed after unusual weathers, both are timing-based demons with the beginning being considered by many to be excruciating to pass, both approach to decoration and gameplay is one of the most unique takes I've ever seen, and both uses a song from the same artist, though I think Sunset Sandstorm's case is more so because Creo is more well known after Black Blizzard's release. However, this is one of the instances where I'd say that I'm completely fine with Sunset Sandstorm not being a sequel to Black Blizzard. Even though it shares a lot of similarities, it's very clear that Krone wants to make this level as unique as possible and not borrowing too much from its inspiration. But I can also see how someone would make a case that Sunset Sandstorm is a sequel or at least a fan sequel to Black Blizzard. That's why I included Sunset Sandstorm in this video. Now, with that being said, is Sunset Sandstorm better than Black Blizzard? I'll be honest with you, I don't know. The thing with choosing Sunset Sandstorm or Black Blizzard is like choosing between the SpongeBob movie or The Godfather. You can't make me choose pick or peak. However, if I had a gun to my head and I had to choose one, I have to go with the classic. Not only is Black Blizzard one of the most unique levels that was ever made at the time, its impact cannot be underestimated, and the fact that Kamal tried his best to keep the project a secret when he was making it, down to not revealing Creo to the public just yet, is astonishing. Sunset Sandstorm is still an amazing level, but Black Blizzard is undefeated in terms of quality and impact. And so those are some non-sequel levels from Geometry Dash. Well, that's the end of the video. Did you agree or disagree with my picks? Maybe there's a level that you think deserves to be in this video. Let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll put it in a sequel if I ever make one. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe since I'm trying to hit 4K by the end of the year. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.